How's it going, Jeremiahs? This in front of me is a brand new color for the Korg PA700. So internally, nothing much has changed for this PA700, but the color is now a lot more striking. And I actually like this color way more than the previous muddy brown color, and this just has a lot more stage presence. There is no shortage of videos on YouTube comparing the Korg PA series as well as the Yamaha PSR-S series, and there are also a lot of PSR-SX series videos that you can watch and you can make the comparison for yourself. But most of these videos are made by music shop assistants, sales guy who are just don't really use these arrangers for a living day after day. I have been teaching and performing on arranger keyboards for the past 25 years. And many of my students, when they come to me, have already an existing instruments, and they range from the PSR-E series to the Yamaha PSR-S series, and also a number of them have the Korg PA series. So really day after day, every single day of the week for the past 2.5 decades. So in today's video, I will talk about the real-life usability of this arranger keyboards, the PA series versus the Yamaha PSR-S and SX series. However, in my past 25 years of teaching on the Korg PA as well as the Yamaha PSR keyboards, I can tell you with great certainty that technologically, the Korg PA series arranger keyboards is just much more superior in terms of the features and functions than the Yamaha keyboards, especially when you take into consideration the price that you'll be paying. So before I begin to tell you the 14 reasons why the Korg PA series, or in this instance the Korg PA700, is a much better value proposition than the Yamaha PSR-SX that has been launched with great fanfare, hype and rah-rah, about being revolutionary, I will tell you the 14 reasons why this is a better value proposition. But before we dive right in, I want you to take 1 second to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. And also do check out the description for links to the gears that I use and recommend. The very first thing I want to talk about is price. So the newly launched Yamaha PSR-SX is available at a suggested retail price of almost $2,800 although the street price is actually about $2,200. So the last time I checked on the major music retailers and Amazon, this PA700 is actually a massive $1,200 cheaper than the Yamaha PSR-SX900. And in addition, for just about $1,200, they will throw in a X-stand, they will throw in a bench, they will also throw in headphones as well as a damper pedal with the same price of $1,200. So the suggested retail price of $2,800 for the PSR-SX900 really is more expensive than Yamaha's Modi X, which I think as a sound generating device, as a synthesizer, is a lot more capable than the PSR-SX. And in fact, that price of $2,800 is pretty much the price of a Yamaha Montage, their flagship workstation that really professionals use to produce music for big productions. So the next thing I want to talk about is the 3 upper layer sounds. So the Korg has had 3 layers of upper layer sounds for the longest time. I remember playing on the Korg PA50 almost 15 years ago, and that model itself, which isn't the very high-end model, already had 3 layers of upper voices, and it's only now, almost in 2020, does the Yamaha bring out 3-layer voices on the PSR-SX, which has traditionally been guarded by them for only the flagship Tyros and now the Genos. And if we look at Korg's EK50, which is just like a $500 arranger keyboard to compete with the PSR-E series, the E463, even that, at that price, has the ability to layer 3 upper layer voices. Reason number 3 why I think the Korg PA700 is better value is because it actually comes in 4 modes. This PA series is actually kind of like you're buying 4 different instruments, but it's all rolled into one. If you think about it, the PSR-SX is actually an arranger that you can also play as a normal keyboard for your band or for your music production. So that is first and foremost a arranger first. But for the PA700 and the PA series, you can actually tell that it was really meant to be a full-fledged workstation with full-featured sequencer, and with the 4 different modes, you can see where its heritage lies. So we have the 4 modes here, which is the style play, and that is for playing this as an arranger keyboard. We also have a song play where you can load up MIDI songs, MP3 songs, different kind of audio files, and play along or sing along with the songs that's playing back. And mode number 3 is where you're going to use this for a music production scenario. It has a dedicated sequencer mode. You go into the sequencer mode and it has a very, very full-fledged, very complex and complicated, but very powerful sequencer that allows you to do events level editing. And the 4th mode that you have on this PA700 is where you use this as a synth, as a keyboard for playing along with a band, and that is mode number 4. Reason number 4 is Korg's DNC, which is their Defined Nuance Control, and this is very much alike to Yamaha's Super Articulation 2, which they reserve purely for their Tyros and their Genos. And even after a decade of this technology, Yamaha just adamantly, stubbornly refuses to trickle this down to the PSR-SX range of keyboard. Reason number 5 is you've got 2 live control knobs, just like that on the PSR-SX series, which also has 2 assignable live control knobs, as what Yamaha call it. But in addition to the live control knobs, the Korg PA series, especially PA700 and above, actually has 3 additional assignable switches on the left side just above the joystick, which you can assign to a whole myriad of different features and functions that you want to trigger. Next, let's talk about touchscreen, which is like the biggest thing on the Yamaha PSR-SX series. It has been trumpeted as like, oh, the next big thing, and this is such a wonderful thing that they are including. It is a very, very good thing, but it just seems like too late in the game that Yamaha is introducing the touchscreen on the PSR-S series. From my experience, 20 years ago when I played the Korg i30 Arranger keyboard, that already had a touchscreen. So it seems like Yamaha is kind of like 20 years too late in putting a touchscreen in their middle-of-the-line Arranger keyboards. At this price that the PSR-SX900 is selling for, I would have expected that it would have a tiltable touchscreen, because that would definitely increase the readability and usability of that screen. But unfortunately, you don't find that on those Yamaha models. But on the Korg PA1000, you actually get a tilting 7-inch color touchscreen for a price that is even cheaper than the Yamaha PSR-SX series. The next big feature trumpeted by Yamaha on their PSR-SX900 is the chord looper feature. And this seems to be a trend these days, where if you turn that on, it will actually start recording the chord sequence as you're playing, so that it frees up both your hands to be able to play other stuff on the upper part of the keyboard. So this really isn't new and has been found on the Korg PA series like for the longest time that I can recall, and that is actually called the chord sequencer that is found on here, the Korg PA700. For reason number 8, let's talk about the ways that these 2 keyboards store their sounds. We are talking about the PSR-SX still has the traditional way, a slightly more linear way of storing registration, where all the settings that is found on the keyboard is captured into one registration memory button, and that is the way that Casio does for their registration memory, as well as Roland EX series also uses the same manner of registration memory buttons. However, the Korg PA series, the PA-700,000, actually has a songbook feature. So this songbook feature, I feel, is a very, very powerful way of storing your registration, your voices, your styles, and your songs. That is because it is not so much of a linear way of storing things. It's actually a database. So Yamaha PSR-SX has introduced this feature called playlist in the new keyboard, which is not a new thing because on the Korg PA, I have been using set lists for years and years. And this is what a gigging musician is expected to use. Let me just give you an example of how powerful the Korg PA series songbook feature is. Assuming you have accumulated a library of a couple of hundred songs, maybe 1,000 songs, which a number of my students actually have more than 1,000 songs in their collection of songs. If you are asked to play, or if you're thinking of playing a song by John Denver, a waltz, which is a time signature of 3, and a slow waltz, which is perhaps slower than 80 beats per minute. So you can actually use these 3 parameters and filter the database to really hone down to this exact song by John Denver to start playing out of your couple of hundred songs, whereas in the Yamaha system of storing stuff, it is just gonna be a lot harder to find because it uses a folder kind of analogy, kind of like your Windows computer folders, where you have a roots folder and then you have subfolders and subfolders, etc. So it isn't really a database of sorts. So Yamaha fanboys would say, Jeremy, we have the music finder, but really the music finder or the MDB is really just a very rudimentary way of storing songs. It's nowhere near as powerful as the Korg songbook. Reason number 9 is the Kaos technology that is found on the Korg PA ranges. So a couple of years ago, Korg came out with their Kaos touchpad for their DJ equipment. So they have made it such that the entire touchscreen becomes a Kaos touchpad, and you can dynamically just move around your finger on the touch-sensitive screen to control different parameters in a graphical and a very natural way that one is just not able to replicate using just knobs and switches. So this is something which you don't find the equivalent of on the Yamaha PSR-SX at all. Reason number 10 has got to do with the way that the intro buttons work on both this top-of-the-line equipment. So Yamaha actually has 3 intros, which is good. We have intro 1, which is short, intro 2 longer, intro 3 and longest. But on the Korg PA series, intro number 2 is actually an intro where you can play along your own chord progressions with that intro. And that is something that you're not able to do with the Yamaha intros, because the Yamaha intros is really just a preset sequence piece of introduction music, and there is not a lot of changes that the player can make to it once it's triggered. You can play along with it, but you definitely cannot affect the chord changes found on that intro. Reason number 11 is the way that fill-ins, auto fill-ins between variations of the style is used. So on Yamaha, we have your 4 different variations of the fill-ins, A, B, C, and D. And those are really just presets. But on the PA-700, other than just this preset way of triggering your auto fill-in, there is actually a feature called Smart Autofill. And this is something which not a lot of people talk about, because the computational power found on the Korg PA series can actually randomly decide for you what is a good appropriate feel. For example, if you're going from variation 4, which is the very busy variation of the style, to your variation number 1. And this smart autofill can actually decide for you to choose the appropriate fill-in to actually insert when you trigger an autofill. So reason number 12 has got to be how Korg organizes their voices and their sounds. So Korg actually organizes their sounds into what we call keyboard sets. I find that this is a very powerful way of organizing sounds because you don't just think about sound as just a solitary instrument, but you start to think about it as a cohesive, harmonious bunch of 3 different sounds that you can either mix or turn on and off using the touchscreen. For example, if you select a pan flute, there will be a couple of strings or pad voices that you might want to go with it, or some bell sounds that you want to go with it, and you can actually group them as one so that whenever you call up a pan flute voice to get ready to play with your styles, all the additional dual layer, triple layer voices are already all ready to go, and you don't have to configure them from scratch each and every time, which is the case for literally most of the other brands right now that I know of. Reason number 13 has got to be the number of effects that is found on the Korg PA series that can be used when you plug in an electric guitar into the input or a microphone into the input. So it has a lot of tube amps, choruses, delays, and distortion effects. In fact, I have a friend who's actually a busker. He doesn't play a lot of keyboards, but he has a PA series that he uses just to plug in his microphone and his guitar, and he uses the effects found on the Korg PA series for his guitar and microphone because it is that good. And the very last reason why I think the Korg PA700 actually has a better value proposition, and really Yamaha is just kind of doing catch up with their SX series, is that of style programming. So Korg has a Guitar RX programming mode, which allows you to humanize guitar picking and guitar strumming without having to actually program each and every individual notes of a guitar strum. So it has all the parameters to allow you to customize different guitar strummings and different guitar patterns based on the kind of guitars you're using and include it as part of your style. And when you talk about the programming of styles, we cannot not talk about the style creator boards. So if you just dump in a MIDI file, the creator board in here, the style creator board can actually create a style for you, as well as suggest pads and create keyboard sets, sounds that picks up from the MIDI file. And all you need to do is just do little tweakings to get it to sound the way you want, rather than having to create everything from scratch. So who are the people who usually choose the Yamaha PSR-S or SX series or the Genos or Tyros over the Korg PA series? It is really, to me, I think those who want a less steep learning curve, much easier to use. You don't have to spend a lot of time to learn it, and it's less complex as well. And you get a lot of hobbyists, intermediate students, and from what I know, especially in my market, a lot of retirees love the Yamaha Arrangers due to its ease of use. And the other group are those who are already stuck in the Yamaha ecosystem. So we have those who have bought lots of expansion packs or pirated lots of expansion packs from the Yamaha ecosystem and has built up a whole bunch of styles that they either pirated or downloaded from somewhere or bought from the Yamaha online shop, and they just feel that they need to continue to be in the ecosystem just like how you would be if you bought an Apple iPhone. But on the Korg PA series, even for the mid-range $1,000 series, you can find features that the gigging musician requires, and we're talking about, for example, the audio inputs on this are actually 1/4 inch stereo inputs, unlike a little mini jack input that's found on the Yamaha PSR-SX or S range. And I can already hear the Yamaha fanboys screaming and shouting, "Hey Jeremy, but the Yamaha PSR-SX900 has vocal harmony and your PA700 doesn't have it." You know what? Just for $1,900 US, which is still almost $1,000 cheaper than the suggested retail price of the PSR-SX900. Get this, the PA1000 has a vocal harmony by TC Helicon, and that is a professional voice system for professional singers. Go Google up that company. It has a long history and it's been around for almost 20 years, unlike the more generic in-house Yamaha system. And for going a little bit more on the PA1000, you get a tilting LCD screen, which you don't find on Yamaha unless you pay a lot more. And for just $1,800 US, the PA1000 actually comes with aftertouch. Mind blown. The FSX keybed on the Yamaha range has been fiercely guarded by Yamaha on their Tyros range as well as their Genos range, and it just refuses to trickle down. You know, it is more of a marketing thing and a profit thing rather than it being so expensive that it cannot be trickled down. It's a lot more expressive when you're talking about your oboes, clarinets, and even your lead synths and all this. Really just need aftertouch to really bring out that nuance and expressiveness of that voice and tone. But with all that being said, nothing is perfect. So now I'm going to talk about what is the Achilles heel of the Korg PA series. So the Achilles heel of the Korg PA series is that it is just very, very complex, complicated, and so deep. In fact, it is so deep that those coming from the Casio CTX, the CTK, or even the PSR-E series would just instantly be lost in here. You know, they would just be swimming in a lot of technology and functions and features. But that is to be expected because the reason why it's called a PA is because this is a professional arranger. I hope you guys found this video useful. If you did, make sure you smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't done so, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.